Most people are very unaware of the incalculable cost that's taking place right now in our workforce as a result of the way that we interact with our technology. The way that it shapes how we work, how it changes the way that we work, how it shapes how we communicate, that's in particular my focus, how we interact with one another, but even deeper, who we're actually becoming and who we are as people, as individuals, who we are organizationally, and even who we are culturally. Because I know that a lot of us, we have this experience where we are aware of all the benefits that it gives us. Faster, more productive, more efficient, more entertaining, but we're also kind of aware of the frustrations that come with it. What we end up seeing is this big disconnect for so many of us between who we want to be and the dreams that we have and this future version of who we're going to be and the realities of where we're spending our time and attention today to get there. You see, the nature of skilled labor is such that it only occurs when we dedicate focused attention, lots of time to the things that matter the most to us. But in the world we have right now, we constantly find ourselves distracted by 100 different things, and we move further and further away from that person that we know we have the chance to become. We want to be our own boss. We want to write a book. We want to travel the world. And instead, we find ourselves looking at Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, the newest thing that's come along. And the result is that we can be massively frustrated, pulled back, more discontent, more disheartened. And we have a situation where 70% of the workforce is disengaged from their job. And nothing assuages our dissatisfaction, our guilt, our discontentment more than a funny cat video. Wow, I have been busy. We're all busy. But my question is, are we productive? Sometimes we fill our lives with all this stuff, and all the technology gives us the illusion of productivity, while at the very same time, we're not actually doing anything to push ourselves forward. And today what I want to talk about is how not only are we not pushing ourselves forward, but the decisions we're making related to technology are actually pulling us back and making us less effective, less good at our jobs, less good in the relationships that are so important to us, less capable of maintaining and remembering information. We're really good at doing things when the obstacles for the things we prefer are higher than the thing that we're doing. When those obstacles get removed, it becomes extremely difficult for us to make the right decision. When I was a kid, I was sent off to camp for a month every summer because my parents loved me. Maybe the ADD had a role. And every year, I'm in middle school. Everything in the world happens socially during the summer. This is like an important time, but I'm gonna be gone all summer, so I gather all of my friends. I get 15 addresses, and I'm gonna write you, I'm gonna write you, I'm gonna write you, I'm gonna write you, and I'm gonna send all these messages because I just gotta stay connected to these people. What happens when I get there? I mail 2 people once a week. Number 1, I mail my parents, because if they're gonna let me spend my summer horseback riding, canoeing, kayaking, skiing, I gotta write them about all the important life lessons I'm learning. And then I write the girl I have a crush on, who probably wants to be friends. I know that there are a few of you here that had already put a note. Go to HR. We're turning off the internet. That's simple. Facebook, Twitter, Google, we don't need any of it. Back to the 1980s, but just remember what you were wearing in the 1980s before you make those kind of decisions. Serious consequences. 4 things happen when we try to multitask. In the first one, we actually are slower. There's a 40% drop in efficiency when we start trying to do multiple things at once. Every time we switch back between tasks, we have to review where we came, and we lose time in that gap. Quality of work goes down. We lose on average 10 IQ points. That's the equivalent of doing an all-nighter, which was really fun in college, but I am too old for that. We become what Clifford Nass at Stanford calls suckers of irrelevancy. You start multitasking, we put a bunch of things out, and we have trouble distinguishing between what's important to us and what isn't. And the 4th thing that's particularly bad about multitasking is that we actually lose meaning in our work when we do it. A study was done at UCLA where they had people multitask. They were able to complete the task, but they were not able to say why they were doing it later. That's pretty devastating when it comes to work. And that's because energy plays a critical role in the way we can focus. When we look at the basics, what we're looking at is sleep, Exercise, eating. And every time we make a decision to focus against the stimulus, we actually start burning the brain food that keeps us focused, glucose for you chemists. We start burning it. So it's a limited resource that we lose as the day progresses. And that brings us to very specific tactical tips. Counterintuitive to what most people do, that the number one thing that we must do if we want to be focused, is we have to start our day with the most important mentally exhausting tasks. So we take those priorities that we've already talked about. We realize we want to put the most important tasks at the very beginning of the day. Now all we do is we actually schedule them into our day. And we make our calendar our actual primary screen. I use Google Calendars, and it's interesting because if you put it on single day view, there's this red line that slides down through the day. And it's this constant feeling of pressure because I only got 7 more minutes before I got to get this proposal out the door. Then I'm on to the next thing. And all of a sudden you don't have this situation where you look at a long to-do list and you think, I got all day to do it. Or you open up 14 things, you got some priorities, but you end up doing whatever it is that comes your way. This actually plays into this tendency that we have to procrastinate as well. I call this game dynamics. We compete against ourselves and we feel the pressure in order to be able to make sure we hit our tasks within the time frame that we have. When we look at the research, could anyone guess what the number one place that people come up with ideas are in today's culture? The shower. There's a reason for that. It's because it's the only time of the day that we are not connected to something that's feeding us more information. Like the world that we live in, our friend gets up from lunch, what do? We pull out our phone, check our email. We're about to get on a conference call, might as well watch that YouTube video real fast. You have a meeting in 3 minutes. I think that's time for me to check out the ESPN updates. And the result is that we have no time to actually process the information that's coming our way. There's 2 things about technology that will always remain the same. The first is that it will come and it will disrupt how things previously were. And the second piece is that someone's grandmother will think that it's causing the world to go to hell in a handbasket. Chubby Bunny is where you take marshmallows and you stick as many as you can in your mouth. And you still have to be able to say Chubby Bunny after it. You have no idea how many pockets that you can find to put a marshmallow in. Now, one of the fun parts of this whole Chubby Bunny experience is when you put, I think I can get about 20 in my mouth, which that's only after training, so I don't expect you to be able to do it the first time. Those marshmallows, they're not going down this way when we've stuffed our mouth full of them. They just come out this way, right? And that's a lot of what happens when it comes to our memory with information overload. Our short-term memory has something that psychologists call cognitive load. But ultimately, if you're not actively fighting against it, you can find yourself like the rest of the culture slipping into a habit that makes complete sense if you understand how our brain works, but makes no sense if you understand what drives us and what satisfies us most deeply. But that choice is yours, and so I'll leave you with it. Thank you.